Hello and welcome to One on One. I am Cyril Stober. Now, in 2018, while the federal government of Nigeria was negotiating the terms of a comprehensive railway network in Nigeria, the idea came about to establish a specialized tertiary institution to spearhead a necessary transfer of technology. Now, that was the beginning of a project that was to come to fruition in 2023. The Federal University of Transportation, Daura, Katsina State. Today, I sit with the Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor Umar Adam Gatsel, MNI, a scientist and a professor of pharmacognosy. Well, apart from being an academic, he's also been a lawmaker, having been a member of the House of Representatives, the seventh House of Representatives, for that matter. Prof, thanks for coming on One on One.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you this evening and on this very important program, One on One.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's an interesting background, as we said. We have all kinds of institutions, but it had never been that we had one that would be referred to as a tertiary institution, a university, specialized with transportation. And I understand, well, not just the first in Nigeria, but perhaps the first in Africa. Now, this all came about, as we said, while Nigeria was negotiating how to join the League of Nations with an excellent railway system. And someone said, look, wait a minute, we would need a specialized transportation, a specialized institution that would not just address the matter of the needs of a transportation in railway, but alone, but in all other aspects of transportation. And so this idea grew. But tell us from your bit, this started off as a proper institution in 2023. That means you're just about 2 years old now. And but let's hear the background from you directly.
Correct, Mr. Cyril. Yes. This is one of the very few universities in Nigeria, we can say the whole of Africa, where it is a purposely established institution. You could remember, many of the universities in Nigeria are as a result of somewhere that's a university. So also there should be a university in our region. Mm-hmm. Or so state establish a university, so also we should establish one. But in this case, it is entirely different. It's a purposely built or purposely established university to close that gap, that huge gap in the manpower and technology in the transportation industry. Remember, transportation is the most enabler of economic growth and development of any nation. Therefore, the establishment of Federal University of Transportation, Daura, being a specialized one, the idea was conceived during the railway negotiation project, the remodernization of the Lagos to Kano in 2018, specifically in May 18. And they looked at it, that railway has started since even before Nigeria, in 18th century. But it has so far been, even if not abandoned, but not given the due attention. As such, the infrastructure, the staff, the experienced staff, are no longer available. Therefore, they look at it that this huge infrastructure, which is about 10 billion US dollars, that's need not only have these structures or infrastructure, but to also have the needed manpower to maintain and improve over time on it. And to God be the glory, they make what is called foresight, that not restrict the institution, only on railway, but on the whole gamut of transportation: air, water, and surface. The surface was the railway and the highway, and therefore came the establishment of the university. However, the negotiation was then between the Federal Ministry of Transportation and the CCECC, the China Civil Engineering Construction Company, Nigeria Limited. So they say, okay, what can you do? So the company said that from the profit we are going to get out of this contract, we are given certain percentage from the profit to contribute in the building of the university. However, as construction company, we are not giving money, but we are constructing. So give us land where you want this university to be so that we can contribute. And to God be the glory, the site was given in the present day Santama local government in the Ora Emirate, Katsina State, and was graciously donated by the Katsina State government under the former governor, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, and they started the construction. And they provided infrastructure, which the university is currently using. However, this negotiation is only, as I said, between the ministry and the company. There's no involvement of the Federal Minister of Education, which, if you say you want to delve into education at any level, you must come under the scrutiny of the Federal Minister of Education in Nigeria. And in terms of higher institution, is the National Universities Commission. And therefore, immediately after my appointment as the Pioneer Vice Chancellor, when I looked at it, I then quickly rushed with my management to the Federal Minister of Education under NUC. We presented that this is what is going on. So, okay, you present your statutory document. What we mean by statutory document is before establishment of any university, you must have a campus master plan. How do you want the physical infrastructure of the institution to be? There are models. So you must have a document which will capture everything, and also the growth of the university, because a new university, a young university, cannot be a full-fledged at inception. Mm-hmm. Additionally, also, what will be the environmental impact assessment as a result of the construction or building of that university in the area and the soil test? Then what we call academic brief. What are the programs, courses to teach in that university? So, and interestingly, a new area of transportation, which no any university is doing. Only very few universities which are doing only very small component. Mostly, you find that logistics, transportation logistics. Mm-hmm. Yes, you find in University of Lagos, also Federal University of Technology, Owerri, and some few universities at postgraduate level. Therefore, even to have what they call minimum academic standard, or what they call that we want to delve into. Mm-hmm. Therefore, that was the first challenge, and which, to God be the glory, also we summon academics within and outside Nigeria. We developed those statutory documents. We submitted to NUC. NUC looked at them, scrutinized, pointed out their corrections and observations, which we came back and effected those corrections. Then we submitted, and based on that, the commission constituted what they call resource verification panel to go and see what is on ground that can guarantee the commencement of academic activities. They constituted 3 panels. They went to the university, they went around, they saw the infrastructure on ground, they saw the materials provided, and the few academic and non-academic staff on ground. Based on that, and also based on the submission of our document, the committee submitted their report, after which the commission granted the university to commence academic activities with the commencement and approval of 14 academic programs.
Right.
And interestingly, the NUC, being the custodian of higher education, now those documents, despite the fact that some of the documents, the curriculum, were not present, so now all those things become the properties of the commission,
Right.
which based on that they approve the commencement of the program.
So, academic activity got off to a start in 2023.
2024.
2024.
Yeah, January 2024. But all this process was in 2023.
Right. You mentioned 14 academic programs, and
Yes.
which comprise
Of what we call civil engineering,
okay,
electrical and electronics, mechanical engineering, mechatronic engineering, railway engineering, highway engineering, aviation management, transportation management, railway transportation management, seaport and dry port management, inland waterways, safety and administration, mechatronics, and what we call like blue economy,
Right.
or what we call maritime economics. So, and also logistics and supply chain. You know, when you talk about transportation, not only building roads, bridges, tunnels, rail lines, but also movement. And in this case, humans and goods, and therefore logistics, supply chain come also. And another thing is also movement of chemicals, like petroleum product, like gas, and what you call pipeline transportation.
Right. You see, Prof, this covers quite a wide range. And it's interesting because virtually every aspect of this has a key role in the development of the Nigerian economy. But let me start off with just 3 or perhaps 4 of these areas as a key. The first is mechatronics, which you mentioned, and of course, railway engineering. I'm starting with those 2 first because of their relevance to the economy. Railway, which, if Nigeria had continued with what it had and developed, we would not be where we are today. So let's talk about this.
So when you look at these causes which are intertwined, one is related to another. For example, the railway engineering, building the rail lines, it's not just like building roads, because after the earthwork, putting everything, then you come the lane of the track, which when you look at the milestones in that, it's comprised of so many things. And along the line, building bridges, because definitely you might find a way of crossing waters, rivers, and possibly even villages and towns. For example, look at what is going on in Lagos, or what is now going on from Kano to Maradi. Or when you get to Kaduna now, the Abuja Kaduna. When it gets to Kaduna, before continuing to Kano, definitely it must cut across communities. So you see, taking over or owning such land, such areas, compensations, and so many other things. And when you look at mechatronics, the engine, the locomotives, and also the coaches, so putting technology, building manpower in that area means that over time, you don't need this company that is constructing the rail now. When Nigerians acquire the necessary knowledge, the engineering, the technical know-how, not only to maintain, but also over time to construct. Remember, railway is no longer in the exclusive list. It's now in the concurrent. That's why you see it in FCT. From the central area to Idu and airport. And that's why also Lagos and many other states have started, because it is no longer in exclusive list. In fact, even investors can come in and contribute. So it means that definitely building capacity in that area is a must. And additionally, while they are negotiating the railway modernization, besides this university, also there's what we call wagon assembly plant in Kajola in Ogun State, so that when you have the manpower from the university, so this is a place where they can also start working. At the beginning is assembly, but over time the arrangement and the agreement is manufacturing, so that we don't need to continuously importing the wagons and locomotives, so that over time we'll be constructing or manufacturing those things. And as I said, they are intertwined. Even the civil engineering, what we are building in the area of civil engineering to our students is not just general engineering to master building structures, civil housing. No. We are more interested in bridges, tunnels, so that the knowledge will be more on the area of transportation and building infrastructures and transportation aspect. And as I said, beside that, using the infrastructure, when you build very good road or as costly as rail lines, when it's built over long period of time, maybe only maintenance, we don't need to come to build it again. So it means that logistics also will come to play. Okay. Movement of even person and goods on these rail lines and roads.
Okay. Prof, yes, you've mentioned all these. And yes, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil engineering, that may not be too much of a challenge. But you have just mentioned it yourself, the key here, and I'm interested in that. You said building the manpower. Now, these courses, when we talk of mechatronics and railway engineering, where do you hope and how do you get those who can impart this knowledge, seeing that these fields are relatively new? With mechanical engineering, virtually all the institutions in the country, tertiary institutions, offer mechanical, civil, and electrical engineering. But here, we are with mechatronics,
railway engineering.
Where are we sourcing
goods?
The stuff from?
Yes. So interestingly, immediately after that negotiation, also, while the negotiation was going on, some students were also interviewed and selected, specifically from Ahmadu Bello University at 200 level, and also sponsored by that company, CCECC, and sent to China. So to some relevant universities, specifically the the Central South University and Nigerian University. So where these students continued and was a program we call 2+3. They did 2 years here in Nigeria, Ahmadu Bello University, and they spent 3 years there over there, and they graduated as engineers, and some they continue and even completed master's program. And these are some of our initial staff. So you see, interestingly, we didn't overlook that challenge. And also, in Nigerian system, there are some academics that they have relevant knowledge at postgraduate level, and they are conducting research in that area. And therefore, what we used at the beginning was to utilize those experienced academics, senior academics, in all these areas, and also in the terms what we call visiting appointment and sabbatical appointment, right, which is an area in academic cycle which is allowed. So we started, and more especially that we are bringing young children in a new university where they don't have the privilege of learning from those who are above them. They are the first set. So that's why we looked for those experienced academics to handle them. And that was what happened last year, and this is what we are continuing. And remember also, at the first year, all the programs are kind of general. You have, before you go to begin to specialize, you need to build the foundation, and which are mostly science, the mathematics, the physics, the chemistry, the biology, as the case may be, the geography, and in terms of management, the economics, the government, and because it is based on this foundation that you build the engineering specialization and also you build the management specialization. And so we didn't have much difficulty. And another thing that we did was also building collaboration and partnership with those universities, and not only in China, but also elsewhere, like in the United Kingdom and also in Russia. In fact, late last year, we were invited to visit the Russian University of Transportation, which was established in 1896, over 100 years, about 130 years. They have gone far in all areas of transportation. And the arrangement is for exchange of students. That means after 2-3 years, we can send our students to either complete their or do some part, and also our staff. At the moment now, even 2 days ago, I received mail from the John Normal University in China that they are ready to sponsor some of my staff for master's and PhD level. And some of these come with scholarship. Okay. All I need is to get the required staff and send, and they will give their own contribution. And besides the CCCC, also does team. When we say team, it's TEAM, Technic, Engineering, Architect, Marketing, Nigeria Limited. Also is part of what they call Team Group, another multinational company specialized in consultancy. That the company that is consulting for the Federal Ministry of Transportation on the construction of this rail line from Lagos to Kano. Because beside the company constructing, you also need to have consultant that will look at what the company is doing. So this company was employed by the Federal Ministry of Transportation. And interestingly, also this company is also extending its services to the construction of the university. It is that company that is overseeing the construction of the university, also non grata at pro bono. So that company also, we have met and discussed that they are exposing our students and staff to practical aspects on the, not only on the construction, but also on the management, the supervision. Because if somebody is doing work, you need to have a supervisor. You need to have a consultant that will be checking the activities of the contractor. You know, even multinational contractors, if you didn't look at them, they might try to cut corners or to maximize profit. So also that company is contributing by giving the staff to teach and also to show the practical component. Additionally, there's another company called CRSC. This is China Rail Signaling and Communication. So because when you have the road or you have the rail, when you start moving, communication comes into being, which is very, very important. As I said, after construction, you don't need much to do, but communication is continuous and signaling. That's why if you ever use, even in here in FCT, if you use that rail, when you are approaching a station, you see a red light which will change to green. You may not see since you are inside, right. But without communicating, without the permission, the pilot or the driver will not enter into any station. Just like the same thing with pilot or with aircraft pilot, right. You communicate. So also this way. So we are having contribution from academics within Nigeria and those who are willing, and even very few at the moment from outside Nigeria. There are some Indians also who are contributing as expatriates, and also this a new graduate from those universities in China that resume. And in fact, before even we employ them, we had a meeting with them. Those who are willing, who are interested in building career in academics, although they have this knowledge, they have this qualification, but would not employ anyone without his passion. Because, you know, academics is such a career that you have to be patient to build that career over time. And also it's an area that you only have the passion, you can say there's no money in that. So if somebody wants to be in a company, maybe in a construction company to make money, and wonderfully, we've got a lot of them. And currently, some are there also doing their PhD, Masters and PhD.
All right. Well, being a pioneer is never easy, starting off, and even as you talk about the collaboration with other institutions and bringing in experienced and people, you still have a situation where you're starting from the scratch. Well, that is where we'll go next. After this short break, we'll be back with more on the Federal University of Transportation in Daura, Katsina State. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. I still have here the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University of Transportation, Daura in Katsina State, Professor Umar Adam Gatsiel, MNI. Just before the break, I drew your attention to the fact that you're a pioneer. I mean, you're the pioneer VC. The institution itself is a pioneer institution. And of course, you now have pioneer students and pioneer academic staff. So it's a whole new beginning. That is not an easy situation, is it?
At all. It wasn't easy at all. It was very challenging, and interestingly also, I'm somebody that like challenging tasks, and therefore it was not that difficult for me to navigate. And another interesting thing is that my appointment as the Vice Chancellor, it didn't come a surprise because I've been giving a contribution, some known, some unknown. Even when they started the building, I foresee it, that there's no involvement of the Federal Ministry of Education, and also there's no Establishment Act. So also this is one of the universities, if there are, that started with an Establishment Act.
Well, you're a former lawmaker,
yes,
so you should know that.
Know that. Because many of these universities now in Nigeria, the federal universities, many of them are still using the fiat, the pronouncement by Federal Executive Council, but they don't have an Establishment Act passed by the National Assembly and assented into law by the President. However, for this university, we not started before the establishment. The establishment of the Act was even in 2022, Act number 34 of the National Assembly. The Act, the law was passed in 2022 in April by the Senate, then concurred by the House of Representatives in November. You see, even the gap in November, and then was communicated to Mr. President in March 2023. And by March 30th, Mr. President assented it into law. So even before my appointment, we have act which we contributed to see the light of the day. And before my appointment, the then Minister of Transportation, Honorable Sambojaji, constituted a committee they call Interim Management Committee, which I headed, with members from the Federal Ministry of Transportation, from the NUC, from the Ministry of Education, and also from the company constructing, as well as the company overseeing the construction of the university. Right. So we had members in that committee which we started working, putting things together, visited relevant institutions like NITT, what we call National Institute of Transport Technology in Zaria, some relevant universities, and also agencies in Nigeria. And then putting this document I mentioned, so that immediately after my appointment in May 2023, most of the tasking work was started. And then immediately after that, I constituted the relevant committees, which fine-tune this document, and also coming with committee to look and hunt for these relevant lecturers we need. Because some we beg them, please come and contribute. Because some are already occupied with their work somewhere. So please come so that you give your own contribution. And to God be the glory, we have gotten sufficient. Additionally, you know, when we are starting, even the employment, you have to have some document on ground, document that will lead, even the appointment. Isn't it? You must have document for appointment of the senior and junior staff.
Right.
Isn't it? Such a document, and also research document, and so many other documents needed to run the university academically and also administratively. And also looking at the students are coming. What do you need? The hostel, and thank God that company built hostel for both male and female students. And we have 16 classrooms, well furnished, and lecture halls. But maintaining those Yes, structures, new structures, very fine, and with attitude of student. Yes, so putting things together to see that things went well. And another very challenging thing for this university was that the university was not in the 2023 appropriation.
Right.
So you see another very
So
important.
that's the thing we're going to now. We're
Yes.
talking about funding here. And
Yes.
you started off, it was not captured,
It's
the
not captured,
appropriation.
yes, the
Now,
appropriation.
even institutions, the government has its hands full with even institutions, tertiary institutions, going through very dire circumstances in terms of funding. And here is a totally new university with a completely new concept.
Yes.
And how do you do for funding?
Yeah. So interestingly, as I said, in that 2023, since my appointment, the signing of the act is in March. I mean, after the budget was signed in December, and my appointment was in May 2023. So it means the university, no money. Even to pay myself, that's no money. So even myself, I spent 1 good year without a salary. Why? Because there's no money.
And what about the staff of the institution?
So that's why the staff, we just put the preparation. The staff started in January, after the passage of 2024 budget, because it's illegal to employ somebody without money to pay him. Or it will be difficult. If it's not illegal, it will be difficult. So we continue with preparations. So we then get in what you call the permissions, even what we call the manpower establishment. We went to Office of the Head of Service of Federal Civil Service, Office of the Federal Civil Service, Head of Civil Service, to get the permission to even employ, because they are the one empowered to establish manpower to any institution. We have gotten the permission. Then went to Office of the Budget, Office of the Federation, to get the financial clearance. So since there's no budget, we have to wait until when the appropriation, when the budget was passed and assented into law in December. So in January, so we got the clearance, financial clearance. Now, yes, now we have money, so you can employ.
In all this period before this happened,
Then yes.
how did you cope with the activities of the university?
Yes, so the activity of the university, as I told you, at the beginning we have interim management committee, and these are already workers, are staff of the Federal Ministry of Education, who are workers, staff of the NUC, staff of the Federal Ministry of Transportation, and also the company. So they are all workers. And myself, as a staff of Ahmadu Bello University, although what I did immediately after my appointment, I wrote requesting for secondment and also the stoppage of my salary, so that nobody will accuse me of maintaining 2 jobs. So for me, I had no salary. So when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed ministers, we were lucky to have a distinguished Senator Said Ahmed Al-Ali on board as the Federal Minister of Transportation. And when he received briefing from directors and head of agencies, when he received briefing from me, he said, so VC, how are you surviving? How are you moving from Daura to Abuja? He asked the permanent secretary, how's the VC is moving around? Which vehicle? I said, I'm using my own vehicle. I'm using my own resources. And no. So, and since there's no budget, so what he did was he called that company, CCECC. We had a meeting. He said, please, MD, we are very appreciative of what you have done. However, now you have built infrastructure, but there are no logistics. Right. So it means that this infrastructure cannot work, because building cannot work by itself. Mm-hmm. So please, out of the money you intend for building, we know that you don't intend to give anything. You are not employing anybody. But please, I want you to provide some monetary aspect from what you intend to do. And interestingly, at that time, because the arrangement at that time, they stopped even the building. Because the arrangement also is not to build the university or to give the contribution at once. No, it is based on the payment.
Okay.
You know, companies, that's what we do is based on the payment. If you pay us, then we get paid, we get profit, and we contribute. So the company provided what they call like the seed money. And it was that money we use in preparing those documents I told you, and also inviting the NUC, and also preparing other documents, all those documents I mentioned, until we got, in fact, even when we get the budget, we couldn't touch the budget because we have to employ those who will utilize it. For example, in the bursary, because Vice Chancellor cannot utilize money, Vice Chancellor only approve. But when he approves, who will process? Is the bursar. Is it only the bursar? No, also staff in the bursary. The internal auditor also who will look at it. So we could not even start touching the budgetary allocation until around April. So what we did when we got that money, and also what I did was to go to Accountant General Office to open account for the university, and also to give the university the power to transact, which is I wrote to Central Bank. They opened account for the university. So also what we did at that beginning was to employ the use of what you call federal pay officers in Katsina, who are staff of the Accountant General Office under the Federal Ministry of Finance. So you see a lot of challenges, but
so
alhamdulillah, now all is history.
Now, if we just, for a moment or two, concentrate on the students who are now receiving what is termed as training in a novel field. Yes, the basics, the foundation with all the sciences, who expected to move into the specialization. And we'd like to ask you to update us on how that is going. And what is the duration of the main courses the students are studying?
So first, where did we get the student? Isn't it? So since the university was not captured in the budget, so also was not captured by JAM.
Right.
It's not known to JAM, Joint Admission and Matriculation Board. So immediately when National Universities Commission granted the university these courses, granted the license to start academic activities, what they did was to communicate with JAM. The NUC communicated with JAM, because usually it is NUC that say, okay, we granted this university permission. It's not the universities that will communicate. So they communicated with JAM, and JAM upload the university into their portal. And now say, okay, those candidates that applied to other universities now can make what they call change of institution and change of program from other universities to this new university. Those who sat and got the required marks in 2023 JAM for 2023/2024 academic session. So then we advertised that those who are interested in building career in academics, not those who didn't get admission in some other university.
Yes,
and we are giving 500 quota slot spaces by JAM. And interestingly, 1,557 applied. Yes,
over and above.
Yes, over and above. So it's another challenge. So we set some screening criteria online. We say, okay, since even JAM conduct its examination online, so the candidate now, they don't need to travel to Daura for what we call post-UTME, post-UTME Unified Tertiary Examination. Okay. Now we quickly, and also when we got that resources, or financial resource fund from CCCC, what it did also was to create website with the permission from NIDDA and other authorities, and also portal for the university, where we uploaded all information about the university and the program. So the candidate passed through that online screening. So we admitted the 500, and based on the request, we went back to JAM. We requested for addition, what we call attrition. So they give us additional 10% of that 500. So the added 50. Then we also requested, we pleaded the added 50, so the added 100. So we admitted 600. However, after the rigorous screening and the registration exercise, only 478 were able to pass. Right. So we started with 478 students, the first set. And also, to God be the glory, those students, they have finished the first semester successfully. We administered them what we call matriculation off. Yes. Yes, very colorful. Yes, attended by the minister himself, by the JAM, by these companies I mentioned, right, by staff of, and then they also passed into the second semester. They went and they are now back. Okay. For as they started their second set now, or their second session in the university, and also this. But in 2024. Now, as we are captured in the appropriation, we are also captured by JAM. Right. So students will saw us. They saw the 2024 JAM student, or all the candidate wrote and also applied for our university. And this time around 1,787
so
applied.
What's the average student population at this
Yes,
time?
now, for this year, we have also given 500, right, with additional 10%. So we have so far admitted 550 for the second year. So 550 plus 478. Very sad, we lost one student. Although it was during the holiday, right, when he went home. So although now we have not yet concluded the admission, we are also requesting for JAM to add some additional quota if we can get 50 to make it another 600. So we have now 550 plus 478 students. Those four, first and second.
Well, right. Well, now the university is up and running as a normal university, what is the next phase in the story of the specialized institution?
So the university, based on the document, statutory document, in this case, the academic brief submitted to NUC, it is the growth of the university is on 3 phases. Phase 1, 5 years. Phase 2, another 5 years. Phase 3, the third phase. By that time, we were hoping to have a full-grown university, and from where we are going, even before that time, we will fully grow. And so, what we are doing now, we are now re-evaluating those programs, the curriculum. We have started reviewing the curriculum, bringing in the technocrats in the area of transportation, the regulators in the area of transportation, the practitioners in the area of transportation, the associations, the unions, so that we get their input. And also, in general, university is universal. And also input from globally, from other relevant institutions. Why we are doing this? Because we want this university to be unique. We want our graduate to be market ready. And interestingly, there are companies that are willing and even ready.
Okay, so already you're reaching out to industry already.
Yes, industry. So market ready globally. And interestingly, early this month, we were approached by King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia. That they hear about this university. Please, can we provide even instructors for them? So you see, this our graduate will be market will be ready for them. As I said, looking at this rail line from Lagos to Kano, from Kano to Maradi, and also the existing ones, the narrow gauge from Lagos to Kano. The existing one, the one we all know, is still working, ferreting. By ferret, moving not humans but goods from Lagos to Kano, and also the other corridors from Ajakuta to Warri, also from Port Harcourt down to Maiduguri. Although it is also a narrow gauge, but it's also being renovated, and now from Port Harcourt to Apa has started working. So you see, in that area, it means that the market is ready for the graduate. And when you look at the airlines, more airlines are coming. And many of these airlines, they are using expatriates. So it means that these students, when graduated, they are market. And interestingly, there are one area which I want viewers to take note. It is this area of inland waterways. High sea, we don't have problem. We have, because it's international. Right. We have multinational sea experts. But inside our waters, you see, during rainy season, here in sharp in our state. Why? Because there's no capacity in those areas. So we're building capacity also.
So this institution has been... Well, yes. Well, I wish we had more time to explore further.
What I say.
Science
just now we start.
Yes, exactly. Time flies quickly. But we'd like to thank you, and we hope that soon we would ask you to come again, especially when you started the next phase of the development of this specialized institution that will hopefully provide the needed manpower and technical know-how in the transportation industry generally, from air to water and surface.
And also logistics aspect.
And logistics. We're glad to ask you to come back and update us on the progress so far. But for now, we'd like to thank you very much, Professor Umar Adam Gatsiya, MNI, Vice Chancellor, Federal University of Transportation, Daura, Katsina State. We thank you for coming on One-on-One.
Thank you very much.
And we wish you
also
well.
my honor and privilege to be on this very important platform.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm grateful.
And that's our program today. We thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be back with One-on-One. I'm Cyril Stover. Bye.